I'm Marine Sergeant Mike Strank, E Company. In the early moments of the deafening chaos on February 19th, we landed far off course. I had to steady my boys for what was ahead. There was no visible enemy to shoot at. They were buried in sniper traps and caves. To my surprise, I survived the first day of the battle. Little did we know it would take another 35 days. On the 5th day, I got the order to climb Mount Suribachi. I picked my boys. They followed me to the top. I told them that a larger flag had to be raised so that every Marine on this cruddy island could see it. On March 1st, 1945, the 11th day of the battle, while diagramming a plan for my boys in the black sand, I was hit by a mortar. I'm buried in Arlington National Cemetery.
I'm Harlan Block. I was Sergeant Mike's second in command. As an E Company soldier, I knew we had to take Iwo Jima because this little scab of an island had 3 airstrips used for kamikaze attacks. Our company's mission was to take a 550-foot volcano, Mount Suribachi. If we didn't take it, the Japanese could hit any position we had. We surrounded Suribachi on the 22nd and began to move up the mountain. On the 23rd, a small flag was raised on the top around 10 a.m. It was like Times Square. Infantrymen cheered and waved their helmets. Ships offshore blew their deep whistles. When Sergeant Mike was killed, even though I was only 21, I took over the uniform. A few hours later, I was hit by a mortar blast. I'm buried beside the Iwo Jima Monument in Harlingen, Texas.
I'm Franklin Sousley. I enlisted when I was 17 and sailed for the Pacific on my 18th birthday. Suribachi was hard, and I sure never expected war to be like it was those first 4 days. You can never imagine how a battlefield looks. When the larger flag went up on the hill, it didn't look so horrible. The difference between living and dying was sheer luck. You were a target if you moved, and you were a target if you stayed in place. I was shot by a sniper on March 21st, about 2:30 in the afternoon, 5 days before the fighting was over. I was 19 years old. I'm buried in Elizaville, Kentucky.
I'm Ira Hayes, a Pima Indian from Arizona. When I enlisted in the Marine Corps, I hadn't been off my reservation much. I found real friendship between all us boys on Iwo Jima. We trusted and depended on one another, and that's how it was in combat. These boys were all good men. When Strank said, "Let's go," the boys were tired, but nobody asked the sergeant where we were going. Nobody complained, but we were certainly uneasy. When we got to the top, Mike directed Franklin and me to look for a length of pipe. We found one. It weighed more than 100 pounds. I survived the war, but I got sick, thinking about all those other guys who were better off than me, not coming back.
I'm Renee Gannam, the runner for Captain Mike. The captain dispatched me to run to the command post for fresh batteries. I was given a 96 by 56-inch flag. It was rescued from a sinking ship at Pearl Harbor. I put it inside my field pack. When we reached the rim around noon, I handed it to Mike. He and Harlan started cleaning a spot for the pole, and Harlan began stacking stones. I survived the war, and so did some of my buddies. Others were wounded, and some dead. After seeing all this, I realized what freedom really means.
Doc Jack Bradley here. I was on top of the mountain. I saw Sergeant Mike and 4 of his men circle around a large pole with a flag wrapped around it. The wind was strong. The men had to raise their feet high with each step to clear the debris. Mike saw me walking past with a load of bandages in my arms. He asked me to stop and help. I dropped the bandages and moved to the pole, right between Mike and Harlan. I gripped the pole with the guys, and then it was up. The 6 of us struggled in the whipping wind. When the pole was fully upright, 3 of the guys forced it into the ground. Mike anchored things. Within a few more seconds, the flagpole was freestanding, the cloth snapping and crackling in the wind.